Hi there, guys. Welcome to the Inner Circle. As you can see, I'm your host again, Scrivo, and I'm joined again by Ben Pritchard. How you doing, Ben?
I'm alright. Nice to be back.
Good. Well, the reason you're here is because I have a thing where I like to do things like tier lists, but they always feel a bit weird when it's just one person giving just their opinion. So I thought if we team up, we'll cover all the Dark Angel specific units from the supplement, and we'll tier them. Because I think we're at that point now in the edition where things aren't drastically going to change to these units. Like, some things might get some points changes, but the data sheets I think are locked in for now, like at least the next 6 months. So it's kind of, I feel like this is an all-inclusive, like we're covering it and then we don't have to touch it again, which is great, because as much as I love tier lists, I don't want to do too many. Apart from the next one. Right, shall we get straight into it? Because I feel like we're just eking to go for this, because it's going to start. We're going to go alphabetical, I think.
Haven't we? So we've both got some opinions to share.
Oh god, so many opinions, and that's what's good about this is both of us have probably played at least 99% of the units. So, right, here is our beautiful tier list, which hopefully appears on screen, which it does. And I guess we should start at the beginning, and that's Asmodai, right? So
yeah,
let's talk him through then. So he's got a 4-up invan, he's got 4 wounds, OC1. Your stereotypical Space Marine body of a 3-up, T4, moves 6. And he's got a bolt pistol. Sorry, a heavy bolt pistol, because he's Primaris. And then he's got a pretty good Crozius that's got a strike and a sweep. The spicy bit to him is his unit gets melee rerolls to hit. And then causing a battle shock test to anyone in engagement range of his model.
and if it's
a character unit, sorry. And if it's a character unit and if he destroys a character, he gains a CP. So lots of cool stuff.
Yeah,
but is it good? It's nice,
right? It fits his thing of being like that interrogator guy of like he wants to get after the enemy commanders, the characters. I quite like that.
Yes.
I feel this is very much a character where flavor won over function.
Yeah, which is a shame, because the model itself, the new version they did for him, as you can see, just
I have him. He's painted.
It's sick. It's so cool.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Exemplar of Hate, so the reroll hits in melee is a great buff to give to any decent combat unit. The problem I think he has is that there are limits to what he can lead.
Yeah.
So he can only lead. I'm going to check the data sheet here. So basically, any Primaris, non-Gravis, non-Terminator infantry, and a tactical squad, because those are still technically a thing. I haven't seen one for a while, but apparently they're there. So like half the stuff he can lead are shooting units, like Sternguard, Intercessors, Infernus, Hellblasters, where he provides no benefit. There are some niche things that he can do. So he is the one thing that's worth mentioning for him, I guess, is he has the Deathwing keyword.
Yep.
So whatever unit he joins gains that keyword from him. So you can do some sort of fun things in the Inner Circle Task Force detachment where he gives you +1 to wound on the special objectives, even if you're not a Deathwing unit. So you can do something like the Assault Intercessor squad where he gives you reroll hits, they give you reroll wounds against objectives, and him making them Deathwing gives you +1 to wound on the objective, and they become quite a nice little missile unit.
Yes.
The problem is that he's 70 points, so that's a 150 point unit, so not too expensive.
Yeah.
But it's a unit that will very much hit once and be dead.
Yeah. And it's a similar thing with him with Inner Companions, really. Like, he gives them the 4 rerolls, which is great if you're chasing for your lethals or your sustain 2.
Yeah.
But like in all situations, there's probably a vanilla character that will do a more defensive position or a more offensive thing. So like having a Judicia for the fights first, or having an invan from a librarian, just kind of ends up weighing it out. And there's sort of points as well. So it's not even like you're like, cool, which of these cool abilities do I prefer? It's more, these 2 are probably better, and it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about our strongest attachments at the moment, it tends to be built around durable infantry and like Wrath or something like that. Yeah. Not my preference, but that is like what most people are taking at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
So like if you have like 2 units of Deathwing Knights out on the field to get shot at, and a unit with T4 no invul, well, the T4 no invul one just gets blown off first before they think about it, and then they'll work on Deathwing Knights usually. Because they can do that with the guns that the Deathwing Knights will laugh at. The 2 damage stuff or whatever.
Exactly that. So where do we tier him, do you think? Because I think it's reasonable. It's a solid data sheet, but it's bordering on the cute rather than it being, do I put that in my list and is it something that eventually then gets shuffled out? It's more, it's cute if you've got 70 points and you fancy maybe a club night game rather than a tournament game, I'd say.
Yeah, like, that's it. I've taken him to fun-friendly casual games, or where I'm teaching somebody the game, or something where I want to introduce that concept. I think sort of bottom of B, top of C, somewhere-ish.
Yeah, let's put him at bottom of B to start with, and we can shuffle him down
we
once we
can
recalibrate.
Depending on where other people end up.
Yeah, it feels a shame because that's one of those models that when it launched, I went, that is going to be cool. I can't wait to take him with 6 Inner Circle companions and see what happens. And then I have. And it was great because it can blend. Like, I went into Acadian unit of 20 with the command squad and Lord Solar and killed it all to a wound. And I was like, this is cool. But it was 20 minutes of rolling dice, man. It was just like, cool.
Yeah, it was 33 attacks, re-rolling, stains, adding those in. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's fun, but it's not...
I wouldn't do that.
It's not for your opponent. It's like rolling repulsors and repulsor execution and shooting. It just takes
my
too long.
defense array. Oh, nothing. Cool. Let's carry on. Right, shall we carry on then with our Grandmaster, the Supreme Grandmaster Azrael himself? So this is quite an interesting one because I think he's in a completely different place straight off the bat because he gives his unit an invuln, he gives them sustained 1, 2 great things, and he's pretty much a beat stick as well. And then some of the units he can lead give him things like rerolls to wound, which in itself is pretty bonkers. So he's got a similar leader kind of approach. I think it's almost identical. In fact, I think it is. As Asmodai.
Because it looks like the same thing.
Same list, I think.
Yeah.
And you look at that and go, okay, so if he's with Sternguard and they're shooting the Oath target, they're getting sustained across the board. Sure, they have sustained on most of their guns already, but then it's fishing for the rerolls to wound on his Dev, Wound, and Infantry gun is pretty cool, right?
Well, to be fair, so the normal Sternguard bolt rifles don't have sustained. So Azrael and the heavy bolter.
It's one of the guns. I knew it was one way around. I can never remember. But yeah, it's that whole thing of everything suddenly sustained. And in melee as well. And if they're going into an Oath target...
You missed his best rule of an extra CP every turn.
Shh, that's just free. I forget it's there, and like when I don't play with Azrael, I'm like, how do people cope without a free CP? It's really weird, man.
So because of the builds I'm running at the moment, I don't have room for Azrael, which feels weird to say.
Everyone else is zapping around, and he's there at the background going, "I'll catch up."
Yeah, and I love him to bits, and I actually bought a second Azrael so I could do a better paint job on him, so that because I like him that much.
I've got a green one and a black one.
All my army's black and red. Fallen forever. Scrivo's never going to have me back now. But I mean, you can do some genuinely silly things. I mean, I had Azrael and 10 Sternguard in, I think it was a Gladius one, and I advanced up, shot a Chaos Knight with Oath, and then charged it. No more Chaos Knight. And this was before they dropped to T11. This was the old Chaos Knights, and you might not know Steve from our team, and the souls of the poor for him was impressive.
Yeah, so I think my biggest
Azrael
MVP
has done 8 dev wins in combat.
Yeah, I think that was the big one for me at LGT was him with 5 Sternguards, so not even the full group, just having as a little sneaky thing. And as soon as they get a bit too close, because I was in Stormlance, I'm reactive, moving away, cool. It's a nice little toolkit. So I prefer 5. I think he is up there in S tier, if I'm going to be honest. Because most of the time he's in your list. Because I think, if anything, it annoys me that he's always an auto include, and it's probably the CP generation.
Yeah.
As the basis for it, because where else can you get that Marines realistically? Unless you're playing Ultramarines, not really.
You can ally in Kotias, so when your opponent gets one, you get one. But
Sure.
He's only 20 points cheaper than Azrael, and it's like I'd rather have Azrael 10 times out of 10.
I don't want a golden cod piece in my army. That feels like a compromise.
I find
it weird. Yeah. I do find it weird when it's like to make my army functioning, I have to dilute it with not my army, and that always feels like a failing at times. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm testing new lists at the moment, and because I'm looking ahead to like ITT in January and stuff, and it's like I'm very, a Calidus would go great in this, but the odds are somebody else is going to need that assassin slot. So it's like, cool, if it's free later, I can add it in, but I want to make sure it works without it.
Exactly that. Speaking of things that don't quite work as intended, Belial, or Belial, depending on how you pronounce his name. One of the beautiful models that came in the re-release. But what the heck is this datasheet?
Can we just start by saying it is actually quite a cool model? I own the model, I love it. I will admit I have converted it to have a power fist so I can just run it as a Terminator captain.
Now that's a great idea. I sold my spare one. I was like, I bought 2 of that box when the Deathwing Assault box dropped because I was like, I need all these Deathwing Knights. I already have 20. I need more. I have a problem. I want swords. But yeah, it's such a beautiful model, and it just feels like I can see what they tried to do with the datasheet. So his main ability is when he's leading a unit as well, so he doesn't always get it himself, is if a crit hit is scored, that attack has precision. So that gives the unit precision, but is that enough situationally? Probably not.
The problem is that with precision, you need to have it when you need it.
Yeah.
Like because if you think about it, like if he's charged in with a unit and he's going to swing, wouldn't you just rather pay the CP for him to epic challenge?
Exactly.
And then you know that actually you are going to get something. You know, the extra ones from the squad can be nice if your character doesn't quite finish their character off. But yeah, it just feels like this could be something where it was. You know, does it need to be a crit hit? Like having one unit that can reliably snipe out characters isn't that uncommon. You know, given how easy it is to just one CP.
Lieutenant does it permanently.
Yeah,
just come on, and no one takes them, and that's really handy.
And then his other rule, obviously, is when a melee attack is allocated to this model, so it doesn't work on his squad, has to go to him. So the squad he's leading already has to be dead, or he's being precisioned. After the unit has finished making its attacks, roll 1d6 to a max of 6. For each 4-up, the attacking unit suffers a mortal wound. Now, it's not awful, but it's so rarely going to happen. And like, if you look at, I think it's Death Guard Chaos Spawn have a similar rule, but theirs is just when you hit the unit.
Yeah.
So every time you hit it, you have to worry about it. So again, this could just be always on his unit, not on him, and it's just fine. They know it's there. They can choose to hit them or not.
This is very much a clear situation where this rule was written at the very beginning of the development run, and then Death Guard, as a book, came out much later and feels more fleshed out and kind of more understanding of how the game should play. And you look at the two and go, oh, we got the beta rules, and they've got like version 2's DLC. Cool. This is fine. Yeah. I don't feel salty. But yeah.
I got Game of the Year edition that came out a bit later.
Yeah. All the bugs are gone. And it's a shame, but it's again the situation where you look at him and go, I will take a Terminator Captain or a Terminator Ancient, and then they can have a cool enhancement thrown on them. So it's like, cool.
If you think about the other Terminator characters, you've got Captain for the charge rerolls, which is nice because Terminators usually want to be in combat, and the CP reduction. Great set of rules. Yeah. Chaplain gives them the feel no pain against mortals, which is great for Terminators because that's the great way to get rid of Terminators, and +1 to wound in combat. Awesome set of rules. Librarian, again, feel no pain and sustained.
Yeah.
Which, again, very tasty. And then the Ancient with the +1 OC and +1 to hit if you're below starting strength, +1 to wound if you're below half. Like, slightly niche, but again, on Terminators, you go to OC2, you take a single one dies, and now the whole squad's hitting on 2s. Yeah. You know, there is an actual measurable output buff, and Belial just doesn't offer that.
And it's a shame. So keep using him as a Terminator Captain. I think he's in the D right now.
I think he defines a D tier.
And that's a shame, because hopefully next edition, buddy. That's the way I see it now. Like, there's so many balanced data slates that they could have fixed him. They haven't, so I don't think they're going to now. So
yeah, I think we got fixes for ICC, Deathwing Knights, and the Lion. That we have enough sort of usable Dark Angels units that you can run Dark Angels, that I don't think they're interested in changing it again.
No, and quite often, Deathwing Knights, do you often have them led? Realistically, in most cases, not really. Doesn't come up very occasionally.
Right? It's only if there's like a particular enhancement you need them to have access to. So, like, in the Raven Guard detachment where you might want to infiltrate a unit, you need a leader to unlock that. Wrath for the turn 1 deep strike, things like that. That's the only time I consider a leader on Deathwing.
And that's where chaplains, ancients, and captains tend to be the ones that you go for, realistically.
Yeah, because you also can't give them those enhancements to Belial.
Exactly, which I think is one of the shames about how 10th edition structures its enhancements to some extent. But I get it. It's like you didn't used to give Warlord traits to named characters. So same sort of thing.
Yeah,
right?
they couldn't take Warlord traits and relics were sort of the two things that got folded into enhancements in 10th edition. So it makes sense.
Yeah. Speaking of things that still make way too much sense, let's go straight into Deathwing Knights.
Yeah.
I think this is quite an easy one. Like, let's not talk about the datasheet on launch, because that was clearly not a datasheet that was really worth our time.
Yeah,
but as it currently stands, it's a really, really solid datasheet. Yes, I would argue probably the best one in the actual codex if you discount characters, because all the other units, they're all cool, they're good, but do you see 3 of each of those units in a very vast majority of lists? Probably not. But these guys, I have to fight my conscience of, do I bring a 3rd unit?
Yeah, I can see
that's
that.
strength, right?
I think the only one that can sort of rival them for that, when we'll come on to it later, is the Vengeance. They're starting to appear in that sort of numbers.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Deathwing Knights, when we started the edition, they were strength 6, -1 AP, and 3 damage, and you could take them in bricks of 10, and they were utterly horrible. I ran 30. I am not above it. And we got the release thing, and then there was strength 6, -1 and 2 damage, and -1 and 2 damage is a poor combination because they just stopped doing anything.
Yeah.
You needed higher damage or higher AP, and then we got the AP2, and now I think I actually prefer them with the -2/2 to the -1/3.
Agreed.
Just because, like, if you're hitting something with a 2 or 3 up save and Armor of Contempt, you just didn't get anything through. So I'd rather have more consistent and lower spikes.
And then they did the clever thing that they've started doing this edition of, it was still strength 6, but it was anti-vehicle monster 4 up, which I think is a very elegant solution to that it doesn't create that situation where in 9th edition we had it with things like melters, where you just use melters to shoot everything. And it would be the same with them, right? If they had a really high toughness, if say it was like strength 12 maces, you'd be wounding everything on 2s that wasn't a tank, and that's not the right answer.
Yeah, the only other way you can do it is that you can give them strength 12, but you make them like flat damage 6, but they've got 1 attack or 2 attacks each.
Yeah,
you can do it that way as well. Yeah. But then again, I prefer this option.
It's almost the Wolfen approach, isn't it? Where it's like, cool, anti-infantry 3 up, but you get 2 attacks. Cool.
Yeah, and Wolfen feel sad when they hit Deathwing Knights these days. Or don't, sad as the case may be.
In the doghouse. So where do we put these? This is a difficult one because I think they've got a real strength. Is it S tier? Is it A tier? It's like, to me, I'm like,
I would go A tier. Yeah. I think if you start every list with Azrael, I don't think there's a problem with that. If you start every list with 15 Deathwing Knights, it's not wrong.
Yeah.
It can work, but I think it.
Yeah.
Particularly when we start talking about other things you might want to take, like the Lion. It's like, at a certain point, they're 250 points each. The Lion's over 300, so you just can't fit enough of it into the list.
It's normally 2 and then him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think two is good, and hands up, I prefer playing Ravenwing over Deathwing. So I currently have no Deathwing Knights in my competitive list.
Shocker.
I did feel a lack of an Anvil unit at Coventry, where I had some mixed results, but I'm bringing the Lion in instead of the Deathwing Knights because I've got a fast army, and Deathwing Knights don't quite fit that.
No, not when unless you've got advance and charge, and even then,
I'm running Stormlance these days, so I do have it. But it's like, if you roll like a 2 on the advance, that's still not that fast.
No.
And I do that a lot.
Yeah, me too. I have to rely on rerolls to make my armies work, which is why I think the Deathwing angle has kind of sung to me a little bit, because there's that consistency and resilience that undoes the dice variance that I struggle with.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Deathwing Knights next to the Lion. They hit on 2s, re-rolling 1s. You can usually get, if you play Gladius, you can get them with +1 to wound, wounded on 2s, re-rolling 1s. It's very hard for variance to cause you a problem at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
It can still, don't get me wrong. 1s into 1s is a thing. I've been there. But yeah, I mean, I guess we technically didn't mention their data sheet ability. So the Deathwing Knights are so good because they're a 4-wound Terminator because of the Storm Shields.
Yeah.
They're T5 with a 2-up, 4-up invuln save, and they are -1 damage all the time. And that
once
-1
per
damage
game as well.
Oh yeah, and the once per
Feel no
game
pain.
4-up feel no pain against mortal wounds for a phase. But that one -1 damage drastically changes the efficiency of a lot of guns. Like there are not a lot of flat 4 damage guns in the first place. You know, we're talking like Riptide big gun and like heavy conversion beamer from the Botan, but you know, these are big guns from specialist shooting armies. And even then,
as well.
with fewer shots.
Yeah.
So like, and even that isn't killing a whole Deathwing Knight; it's killing most of a Deathwing Knight on a failed save, which you have a 4-up against because you have an invuln. And it takes a lot to remove them.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement about them. To be honest, it's like they're sticky. You can deal with them, but it probably takes more resources than you're willing to really throw into them. And I think that's why they deserve to be in the A tier at least. So
yeah, they're 250 points. I don't think any single 250 points of shooting or combat removes them.
No, definitely not. Especially when a lot of, especially the fast-moving combat stuff I've been playing around recently, there's a lot of damage too, and they don't like going into them. They can do it, but it's hard work. It's just like ruining their efficiency is great. So, and now should we go to the next unit in the alphabet that was so impactful I actually forgot to put it on the tier list originally, which is the Deathwing Terminator squad, which is an upgrade sprue, so it's a real unit, honest guys.
Yeah. So what you have to remember here is that this is a Codex Terminator unit, exactly the same, except it has the option to take 1 plasma cannon per 5 models. I think we just agree it's there, can't we? It's like if it was in addition to the Cyclone launcher, you could already take, and you could get some more heavy weapons into the squad. You know, Deathwatch Terminators are great because they take 3 heavy missile launchers per 5 Terminators. I'm interested again at that point, but at this point, it's like they're only 3 wounds, so they die a lot quicker. They don't have any sort of -1 damage or anything like that. They're better at shooting your oath target.
Yeah.
But like you're already pretty good at shooting your oath target. You're a space marine. And then they've got the same teleport Homer and the 4-up feel no pain once per game. So the 4-up feel no pain is obviously nice, but I think because they're nowhere near as difficult to remove as the Deathwing Knights, is that your opponent just shoots them off the table.
Yeah, and the sergeant has to be loaded out with a power sword rather than a fist.
Oh yeah, my absolute hate. I don't mind that he has to have a sword because that's what comes in the kit and what he's always had. Why it couldn't be a mastercrafted sword like all the Blade Guard have, I don't know, because it's a 1 damage power sword and it makes no sense to me.
Yep. It's not. It could even be one of the Calibanite weapons that the Deathwing Knights use. That would make sense, right?
Yeah, he could. Yeah, he could be a 4-attack power weapon at 622, and you'd feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, that feels a fix. So.
Yeah. You don't have to change the kit. You just tweak the data sheet.
And this data sheet's got another massive hole in it that I've only just really thought about. It's that there isn't a Deathwing Assault Terminator squad anymore. Like that isn't an option.
Correct.
Which is such a miss.
So I'm hoping that, and it's a hope. I don't know anything. I know less than Scrivo does, I think.
Secrets.
But like, I'm hoping that when we see the full Terminator Assault stuff drop, like obviously the box I think is up on pre-order now, the Crux Terminator set with the new.
So when we're filming this, it's out this Saturday, I think, is the release date for it.
So it doesn't exist in the wild yet. So I'm hoping that there may be some sort of tweak to Assault Terminators to allow you for them to be good, because they're not great right now.
I read their data sheet ability just to see because I couldn't remember what they had, and I was like, oh. They forced a shock test with no modifier, which is my worst version. At least -1 makes it good.
Yeah.
It creates some variance that might actually happen. But no, just a straight Bioshock test. Cool. Oh.
Yeah, it's an aura, so it can be a lot of things that get affected, but it's not great. No. But yeah, one of the things that used to be really cool about Deathwing Terminator squads in previous editions was that you could mix and match loadouts, similar to like what Deathwatch can do now. Yeah. So Deathwatch can take 3 missile launchers and then 2 Thunderhammer Storm Shields, which you've got 2 tanky guys to take some hits and 3 guys that do the damage.
Yeah,
and that's a nice split in the squad. Whereas our Terminators don't have either. You get one guy with a missile.
I can't see them doing it because most of the loadouts for a datasheet now are here's what this box can contain. And it's a shame. Or maybe you can have it where you mix 2 boxes and that's how you get your 10. That'd be a solution, I suppose. A compromise.
Yeah, or even if they break it out like they've done for normal Terminators, where we just get a Deathwing Assault Terminator squad and it's just different. Because there's no options in the Deathwing ones to take Lightning Claws, Thunderhammer, Storm Shield, so any of the stuff in that box. So if you want to run them, you're running the Codex unit, and that feels like a little bit of a miss and a shame.
Yeah, for the guys that've got the highest collection of Terminator armor in their kind of armory, it feels like a bit short-sighted.
Yeah, canonically, we have the most Terminator suits out of anyone.
Yeah, because they're a rare thing apparently, but it seems everyone's got lots of it now because Cool's been making more stuff. Weirdly.
Yeah, I think canonically there's only about actually 20 Deathwing Knights in the 40k universe, but there's 15 on a lot of battlefields.
I'm not saying that I've got more than canonically exists 10 times over, but it feels like it at this point because I've got 10 of the old guys and like 40 of the new guys or something stupid. So yeah, real problem. Speaking of problems, things that probably should have had a refresh way before this point, but is now actually, I think, one of the oldest models in production now is Ezekiel. This is the original, like, late 2nd edition metal figure. They still sell it in metal. I was, like, heartbroken when I discovered that it was still metal. But it's still a beautiful model.
You know what? For a metal model, it has aged very well. Like, some of them, you look at it and you go, ooh, you know, the detail they were able to get in the metal models actually was quite impressive because of how that casting process worked. But yeah, I mean, there is actually one on the shelf in my friendly local independent gaming store, which I was impressed by with a metal model. But it has been there a while, and I think it's only there because somebody special ordered him, found out he was metal, and cancelled.
Yeah. So if I was a betting man, the end of edition, like, let's introduce characters in a way, this sort of route, if Dark Angels is getting a new character, he's the one that I think would get over Sammael, because Sammael comes out when they redo some Ravenwing stuff and Fast Attack. That's my theory anyway. I've got no background source to tell me that, but this is my theory because he's the only character on foot that hasn't been given a refresh. So it's just like, why not? Come on, guys.
My concern is if he doesn't get a refresh, he probably doesn't appear in the next codex.
I don't think that's happening.
Which I think, I genuinely think a refresh is more likely. What I think is that GW don't want to keep selling metal models and have to maintain the casting equipment for it. Now that I think he might be the only one left.
So they still do a lot of metal production for Specialist Game Studio stuff like Earth and Old World, but it's something I'm sure as a company are probably stepping away from. You'll notice that they've started producing more and more plastics for all of that stuff, so perhaps maybe they're discontinuing that stuff full stop because of there's the situations like producing stuff in resin is actually quite a
it's not a
messy
nice
production process to do. Like, you've seen the amount of like faults you get with those models, like air bubbles and stuff, because you're using spin molds with resin. It's just not great. Like, so to me, they're probably wanting to do them, but I'd imagine you don't just release all 5 characters together. You drip feed them.
You spread them out. I think we've seen something that potentially hints toward a Sammael with the new Khan on bike.
Yes.
So there is a jet bike there. So weirdly, Sammael's famously last one of the Imperium isn't anymore.
Well, it's a Dawn Eagle jet bike, basically, when you look at the sculpt. There's a lot of design cues that they went, that's what we're going to do. So it's probably they found that the car park garage underneath the Golden Throne, where the Custodians had left all their vehicles because they didn't leave the Golden Palace. Suddenly they're like, oh, these
borrow these.
Let's borrow them. And fun enough, I'm guessing a Blood Raven stole one for us to have one, perhaps. Who knows?
Yeah. Blood Raven took one to Mars and said, can I have more of this?
Yeah, exactly that. So, is Ezekiel better than a normal librarian? Well, he gives them a 4-up Feel No Pain against psychic attacks. When was the last time someone told you they had an ability that was a psychic attack?
So, the only thing I will say is when the new, the Grotmas detachment, the Librarians Conclave came out for Space Marines, I played a few games with it. and you unlock abilities in that detachment by having librarians attached to squads.
Yeah.
So I had 2 squads of Deathwing Knights with Terminator librarians, 2 squads of Inner Circle with normal librarians, and a squad of Blade Guard with Ezekiel attached.
Yep.
And my opponent turned up and was playing Thousand Suns. And boy, was he sad when my entire army bore up Feel No Pain against everything he did.
Oh my god.
Because they even FAQ'd that Doom Bolt counts. Even though it's not an attack, it is a psychic attack.
Yeah. But don't worry, that's not his only ability. He's got a psychic keyworded ability too. In your shooting phase, you can select one enemy unit with an 18 of the model. They have to take a battle shock test with no minuses. No minuses. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, in his defense, his ranged Witchfire is hilarious when it comes off.
When it goes off.
So it is if you're willing to hazardous it, and you are, because it's a psychic attack and you get the Feel No Pain on your datasheet against your own psychic attacks as well as enemies, technically. So you have a Feel No Pain against it. It's a 12-inch, one-shot, effectively anti-character Dev Wound Las Cannon. And again, it's really funny when somebody pokes out a Khan and 10 Berserkers. Just 10 Berserkers now.
Yep.
Well, and then
a lot
Khan
of people need the leader to do it, right? Yeah, but then he's not.
Yeah,
it's not as impactful. It's cute. Yeah. It's cool. It's very thematic, but realistically, your Inner Circle companions are being led by a librarian to give them an invuln. He sits on the shelf.
Or a Judiciar to give them fight first.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
It's either or, pretty much.
And we've both had the same journey. We both tried it in Librarius. I've tried him just with Blade Guard in a Gladius detachment because I wanted to try using him. And he was on the table and he did things and it was there, but I could have used a non-name character and had a bit more success. But it depends what you're playing the game for, I suppose. Like, it's always frustrating when a character doesn't quite act as epic as you'd like. And I think that's where my frustration is with things like him and Belial, is that they aren't epic. They're just cool. It's a different version of the normal guys, but worse. Cool.
Yeah, and that's again, right? You can't take the enhancements and things like that, so you need another guy to carry.
It's a downgrade, not even a side grade. So I think he's living in D for now because there isn't an E for Ezekiel, unfortunately.
I mean, Belial is still below him for me because at least he's cheaper.
I think you're right. And I've at least played him. My Belial is still half built to paint him, not attached to his base, and I got him on release of the Deathwing Assault box, and I've not painted him because I paint my guys white, and I just couldn't face it when I was never going to use him.
No, I just think he's they're languishing in that. Why would you take this when the generic option exists?
And that's probably how I would describe this entire supplement. Unfortunately, it's kind of like if you're going to give it like a tagline to it, that's it, really, isn't it? So. Speaking of things that did get a glow up eventually, Inner Circle Companions.
Yeah.
Such beautiful models. On launch, I was like, cool, I'm going to buy 18 of them. I need to own them.
Yeah,
and
I have 12.
They were just a bit sad on launch.
Yeah.
But they then gave them a nice glow up. So they've got a strike and sweep, and it's sustained 2 is quite a or was at that time quite a rare thing to put on a melee unit or even a shooting unit. Not so much now.
Yeah.
God damn it. But that ability, plus they get their -1 to hit because they essentially got the smoke packs. That's really cool. And then if they're going into a character unit, they're +1 to hit. Combined with giving them a form of reroll through being led by a character, they are really, really a blender unit. And I love that. But their one big issue is that they've just got a 3-up save. They are just 3 wound Space Marines. They're not Sternguard. They are slightly better than Sternguard because they are on a Vow of Silence with encrypted Vox casters that they talk to each other because they are totally not Risen. They are not X-Fallen. Stop with your propaganda, Ben. We know they're just good boys. The line has said they're forgiven. It's fine.
Yeah, it's worth saying. So you mentioned that they're -1 to hit, so you only get that while you have a character attached, but you will always attach a character to this unit.
I've never used them without. So
I can't understand why you wouldn't.
The one thing I always surprise people with as well is they are OC2, and it is not based on them having the banner model, which feels like such a weird situation that should have been how
Yeah.
other datasheets have had it.
Yeah,
which always
usually it's
surprises
more
me.
durability, isn't it? Because technically as well, there is nothing that requires you to build a model with that banner and have the OC2. Now I did because it looks cool,
Same.
but like there is a part of me that realised afterwards of technically I should probably rip the arms off him and give him a sword because that banner is tall. And when
When
you
I
play,
only take 6, I don't bring one.
yeah, the problem is just obviously when you play on whether it's UKTC or WTC or whatever you might be playing on, unless you're behind a big L, you can offer that banner often pokes over the top once you're on the footprint. Azrael can have the same issue sometimes, so actually weirdly he has to lead from the back a bit because if he steps onto the footplate, he'll die.
Story of my life.
Which is it's just that little bit of a shame. It's a peeve about sort of more how 10th ed cover and rules and stuff work, where it's like I 40k has always been that game of like big backpack banners and silliness and things like that. And it's like I watched a battle report recently where somebody was trying to use Custodes jet bikes, and like again with those lancers and trying to find a way to get them to hide behind good, it just doesn't work.
It just needs to be base to base. Let's just be grown-ups about it. The game's so abstract these days, just make it base to base Games Workshop. We know what we need, you know what we want, fix it.
Yeah, I think we've already agreed that this is no longer trying to be like the hyper detailed rogue trade like I want to make 17 decisions every 2 minutes game. Well, I think the argument there is that those rules still exist, and I'm pretty sure they're open source these days, and you can go and play them.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you want to play the modern version of the game, where we want to try and complete games in under 3 hours, ideally.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, rogue trader games could go for days until somebody dropped a virus grenade.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just over.
All right, old man, stop shouting at that cloud. Speaking of old men that maybe should have been reborn better in this codex, but somehow weren't, is the wielder of Enmity's Edge himself, Lazarus. So I used to use him a lot in 9th edition, so I was really excited about seeing how he played out as this rule set. And his special rules, other than he's got the 4-up invuln because he's basically he's a master, he's a captain basically, is when he's leading a unit, each time a model in that unit's destroyed, if they've not fought this phase, roll a d6. On a 4-up, they basically fight on death, which is fine. It's cute. But really, don't you just want your unit to be kind of being a force multiplier by having re-rolls or some sort of mechanic that makes them better? Perhaps?
Yeah, lethal, sustain, +1 to wound something. Because the problem as well is that, again, this guy feels like his perfect unit to join is like an ICC unit. Yeah. But then there's no invuln, and they just get shot to death. So you'll fight on death.
They fight on death by just dying and not fighting. But don't worry, the lovely helmet that totally isn't the Lion's helm, because he totally wasn't going to originally be an Azrael resculpt, because that's what I'm always going to say to people in my headcanon. They almost made him Azrael. Because it looks like it, right? It gives a feel no pain to this model of a 3-up against psychic attacks and mortal wounds. So he needs to have his unit basically not dead, to be dead, and to be or precisioned, and that's when it matters. And it's like, well, actually, I don't think that's going to come up often. And the one time I did play with him, didn't happen, didn't matter.
No. Again, it just feels like one of those rules where it could have just been like, he can have the 3-up, fine, and maybe a squad gets a 5-up.
Yeah, and like
it doesn't need to be a 3-up for the whole unit.
I get the fight on death is meant to simulate the fact that he was reborn. He literally died and came back. The book about him is actually really good, and it made me feel even sadder. Like, it's one of the books that I listened to with my wife, and she went, I really like Lazarus, and she was like really hyped about finding out what happens to him next. And I was like, that's it. They did one book.
Yep, we haven't heard from him since. He had such a cool backstory. Yeah. And like, he was how like Primaris were introduced into the inner circle. Like there was a whole thing they could have done with that. Yeah. And they didn't. And I think it's a bit of a shame.
And he was interesting because he disagrees with Azrael and gets upset at Azrael, which, as Dark Angel standards go, normally everyone toes the line. So it's quite refreshing to see. And the book did, I think, end with them going, the lion's back. And I was like, come on, guys, stop teasing me. I want to find out people meeting the lion. But no, maybe we'll get that in the end of edition stuff.
That would be cool, yeah, because I mean, I'm fairly up to date on all the lore books and stuff. I've even done the Luther one, and it's like, I finished the Lion book, and I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but at the end he has met up with the Dark Angel forces, but there's a battle, and they don't have time for touchy-feely get to know you.
Yeah.
But then at the end it just ends.
Yeah.
It's
You're like, cool.
just
Where's
a bit of
book
a
2?
book.
Instead, Mike Brooks has been writing about blooming Eldari Corsairs. I mean, and Grots. I'm like, I love my orcs, but I don't care. I don't want another book written about a Grot. No, I want to hear about the lion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a shame. I personally think he's actually at the bottom of D, because I just don't see me using him, and it's a shame. Like, I've used the model multiple times in conversions, but that's not his data sheet.
he was my 9th edition Azrael for a long time.
I made
before
one
the new
out
sculpt
of other
came
bits
out.
before he came out. He's actually my captain I use in my kill team, with my Risen kill team. So, because he's robes.
And he's a great fit for that, because the sculpt is lovely. Like it's a really like it does the warrior monk thing really well. Like it's quite clean, it's not cluttered, but it still has the cape and the tabard
and he's got a power fist option that's not his data sheet, but it's to make him a captain. Some cool stuff.
Yeah, one of the things I really like actually about him and like the blade guard and stuff is they're quite plain swords. I don't love like massively over like some of the old Dark Angel swords where it had all the text built into the blade and stuff, and it's just not a huge fan of it. I really like these plain ones.
I think it then makes things like the Inner Circle Companion swords feel more special, because they're going to be like the elite guys. So them having a Calibanite greatsword with that extra bit, and it's almost got that kind of it makes sense. It's kind of it's nice rather than just being it's just a bigger, because we don't need it to be Final Fantasy Buster swords at the end of the day, right? We want them to actually look like, because the way I see games 40k these days is we're playing medieval war games with laser guns. It's not we're playing a highbrow science fiction. We're playing a feudal system that happens to have laser guns, and that's why it should be that weird sort of situation. And I think that's where the Dark Angels get it really right. So anyway.
it's why because I know a lot of people say like, why when you've got lasers do you still have swords? Because we have to pray to the lasers to hope they fire, because we don't actually know how they work.
Exactly, and I love that everything's that backwards, right? And I think the Dark Angels kind of tread that fine line of the kind of the sort of gothic angles as well. Like, we'll get to it with the planes later on, where one of them's literally just a flying church piece. I'm like, yes, please, I love it. It's more cathedrals. That's what we need in the world. Shall we go to the next data sheet? Speaking of flying things, so the Land Speed of Vengeance. It's had a bit of a glow up. It was a little bit sad at the beginning of the edition. It was something I took normally at least one, and at one point was looking at putting a second one, so I've actually got a half painted one in my repertoire at the end of 9th. And then they did the new data sheet for the index, and they were just a bit sad, because I think it was it damage 2 on the overcharge they did initially?
So when we came out at the start of 10th edition with the index, it was 150 points, and it had the profile it has now. 933 on the overcharged twin links D6.
I remember trying it and being like, okay, cool. And then it was the book. It was the book launch just murdered.
The Codex killed it.
Yeah, that was it.
Because the Codex kept it at 150 points, but took a point of damage off both profiles of the gun.
Here you go. Have 2 Hellblasters in a land speeder.
For 120 points.
Yeah.
150 points at the time. So at the moment, we're living in this blessed world where over time it got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper down to the 120 where it sits now. And then in the last balance status, like, they gave it damage 3 back, and they forgot to change its points. And I genuinely think it may go up 10 to 20 points in the next balance pass for exactly that reason.
And then maybe you'll stop saying, because I have seen people starting to take 3. Maybe it becomes a situation where
every list is 3.
It's then you put in 2. I'm really quick off the mark, so I've been debating, like, do I put 2 into my next version of my list? I've been a bit distracted by orcs recently, so it's not because I've spent a lot of time looking at it.
But they're still green.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of my 2 main armies, so it makes sense. But yeah, I'm looking at doing 2 still, because it just feels like a nice healthy balance. But the other trick they've got is the bit that I always forget about, which is if a unit of Astartes keyword within 6 of the model is destroyed, you can shoot at the unit that destroyed them, right?
Yeah, so when you run 3 of them in a little triangle, as soon as one dies, one of the other ones just shoots straight back.
What's really neat is, I'm not saying you would ever do this, but if you're playing really thematically and you say had some Death Watch allied in It's just Astartes keyword or some Grey
Still
Knights.
works.
It still works, and that's really quite neat. And it's weird that it works. Normally they lock all this shit down, so that got me excited. And then I went, that fringe case is never going to happen, but I love living in that world.
But I mean, so at the moment in my Ravenwing heavy lists, I'm running 3 Vengeances and 2 Thunderstrikes. Because the Thunderstrike gives you that with +1 to wound against what it shot at. So your Strength 9 twin linked plasma is now +1 to wound. So you're wounded on 4s into big tanks and dawns and knights and stuff, and then you're twin linked. So like 75% of the time it works. And
glorious.
you know what? They add up.
And they're not bad. Like, I was at Battle of Britain a week and a half ago. Toby was playing with, I think he had 2 or 3. I can't remember the exact number in his list. But it was where he had things like there was the crates. In WTC, you've got a stack of 2 crates. You could angle your move enough that you could land perfectly on it because the base size is just appropriate. And then you can see across the whole flipping map.
Oh.
And they can't charge you because they can't land on the top next to you.
Yeah, very little can get up there.
It's very awkward, and I was like, that's cool. That feels mean and nasty, but I'm making notes. But
yeah, because the storm speeders come on bigger bases, so they don't work. So it is sort of like one of the few things that can get up there. Until you play Shining Spears, and then you feel sad.
Yeah.
They run it through.
Bloody knife is.
But yeah,
where do we put this?
Vengeance is great. I would put Vengeance up in A tier at the moment.
I think you're right. Like, to me, like, it's not better than that because it's had a very short-lived kind of glow up, and we need to see whether it lands. But at the moment,
if
I feel
it stays at its current points cost past January, I'd be tempted to bump it. But I expect it to go up, so I'm sort of scoring it a little bit with that in mind.
Yeah. Cool.
And it does best in sort of combination with like a Thunderstrike or something like that, where you can trigger that +1 to wound or incurses for +1 to hit, and then you hit on 2s and you don't need oath.
Yeah, or having an aura for say a reroll to wound or reroll 1s to wound just to help it tip along a bit, I guess. So positionally.
Yeah.
Speaking of those sorts of auras, in the alphabet we're in L, so now we're going to go to Daddy Lion. Mr. Lionel Johnson. So this is an interesting one. I kept, at the beginning of the edition, I was using him, and people were like, no, just take another 3rd unit Deathwing Knights. It's much more useful. And it was really sad because I wanted to use my cool model. It didn't feel like it translated to how he should be on the tabletop comparative to the lore. So, like, Forest Walk basically being Deep Strike was such a shame. He didn't seem as resilient. Like, his launch 9th edition datasheet was that he was -2 wound, and I was like, cool, that feels like a nice way of showing him being resilient, but not too resilient, because you hit him right with the right sort of weapon, doesn't matter. Just fell a couple of 3-up invuns, and that's the joy of it. People go, oh, it's a 3-up invun. I was like, yes, he's a bloody Primarch. Of course he's supposed to be special. Like, it's just makes sense.
Okay, Gulliman gets a 4-up invuln, but he gets to stand up again.
He Chumbawambas,
Yeah, the Lion gets the 3-up invuln, but once he's down, he's down.
Yeah.
And the big daddy demon Primarchs, but they're T11 and they move like 14 inches, and it's not a fair comparison. If you gave any of them a 3-up invuln, they are busted.
Exactly. And I think his datasheet's in this nice sweet spot now where his melee profile, really, really useful. The fact that he can have 2 of his 3 Primarch abilities, so one is his uppy downy ability, one is the Aura of Feel No Pain against mortals, and then one is reroll 1s to hit and rerolls 1s to wound, which I find fantastic as a resilience thing of like, oh, suddenly stuff actually has some kind of consistency to it, because I think the big weakness Marines have, especially not just Dark Angels, but Marines full stop, was you can get a lot of rerolls to hit. That's kind of on tap, but rerolling to wound, or ways of kind of having a bit of a shake-up in that outside of being Codex compliant and getting the plus to wound, it's really hard to get that sort of mechanic thrown in. So that's a nice little bone they threw us to go, right, you're going to be a bit of a castle already. You're going to be the Rock. You're going to be Howl's moving castle called the Rock, and then you're just going to have this lovely aura. And it makes it very easy to justify putting him in your lists, because he's 315 now, I think, from memory.
315. So like when the Codex dropped, he was 350. So he's come down. He's 10% more.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. When the Codex first dropped, Well, sorry, I should say after they first fixed Deathwing Knights after the Codex dropped.
Yeah.
Yes, three Deathwing
The
Knights.
real launch.
Yeah, and then the Lion got his -1 to be wounded back. He got his 2 damage on his sweep, and now I think 2 in him is probably the better. If you're going for that tanky durability build, I think that's better because
feels healthier.
he increases the output of those squads so much with those rerolls.
Because that's the one weakness of Deathwing Knights, right? Sometimes you can just
roll ones.
Yeah, and it whiffs, and you're like, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's worth saying only because I keep seeing it online sometimes. Like his rerolls are only in melee; they don't benefit shooting.
Yeah.
Because someone was talking recently about like, oh, you can have like these things hitting on 2s and rerolling 1s from the Lion, and a bunch of us were how.
Yeah.
You're talking about shooting. He doesn't do that.
Yeah, he is martial prowess, and that's what I like. It then leads into almost if there was a Deathwing style detachment that he could kind of be part of. But unfortunately, his keywords, he doesn't have Deathwing as a keyword because he's not part of the Deathwing. So some of the cooler detachments he doesn't really shine in. So it's a shame, and it then kind of just compounds that thing where we go, right, so I'm taking Stormlance or Gladius then, if I'm bringing the Lion, cool. And it's a shame. I'm hoping they fix that for the next edition though. Like,
yeah, I would. I mean, just a simple quality of life fix for Inner Circle would just be Deathwing and the Lion. Deathwing Infantry and the Lion gain the benefit. I also don't know that it could just be Deathwing vehicles in melee as well, maybe. Like, fair enough, you don't need a Land Raider getting +1 to wound on its shooting, especially the Redeemer. That might be a little bit much. But, +1 to wound in combat wouldn't be a huge thing.
I get it when he literally doesn't have that keyword is a thing to define the lore. I get it, but it also doesn't make sense. So.
But the lore is also that the Deathwing are his bodyguard. So that their whole existence is less so in 40k. More, we're going back to 30k Deathwing now. But their whole thing was they are there to make sure he is okay.
Yeah.
And now he's back. You would presume some of them are still doing that.
Yeah. Though I don't imagine some of the guys that were there survived. I guess a lot of them are gone now. So that maybe is a reasoning, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah.
Although some of them have been in the warp for 10 minutes, come back out and gone, I didn't fall. I was just on Caliban. It's a big confusion. It's not my fault.
Yeah. Yeah, and if anyone hasn't read the more recent Dark Angels lore, I do really recommend it. The Lion Son of the Forest especially is like such a cool book.
Oh yeah, that, Luther and Cypher and Enmity's Edge, those as a 4 books to get you kind of hyped. I think that's what really ingrained me into Dark Angels this edition was, yes, the rules got fixed and made it playable, but those 4 books, you go, actually, I kind of want to root for these guys, and I want to paint these models because these guys are cool. Like my Deathwing, my Inner Circle companions and Fallen Kill Team I made are all inspired by the guys in Son of the Forest because those guys are cool. Like, there's no way around it. Like,
Mr. Double Bolt Pistols and all sorts.
And Red Mist, who's totally not chaosed. It's fine. He's fine.
No, he's not.
Just doesn't
he's
take
not
his helmet off.
Berserker, I promise.
Such a cool guy. Anyway, thinking of things that would just be nice to see on the tabletop, but probably won't, is the Nephilim Jetfighter. I have probably never read this datasheet. I did read over it briefly earlier, and I was like, cool. Yeah, Storm Raven's better. That's the horrible thing, right?
Yeah,
like, it's
now
cool
to be fair, this thing's
plane.
a lot cheaper than a Storm. Okay, it's cheaper. I don't know about a lot cheaper. This thing is still 195 points.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to say it again when we come to the Dark Talon, but this is Flyers paying for their sins of previous editions. For those who are newer to the game, like in early 8th edition, you could take like 7 Eldar planes and they could all be -4 to be hit. And you could stack modifiers back then. So, by the way, either have some pluses or roll a 7. And it was silly. It was silly.
The problem is these planes, like quite a few planes, like the Orc planes were abused. A lot of them quite abused, even into 9th. But this one and the Dark Talon have never really had their chance to shine in the same level. And that feels like they have paid for the sins of their brothers, not even like themselves.
Yeah, the 2 Dark Angel planes have never been amazing. So this one is like, this was the fast attack flyer. So it was meant to be better. If I remember traditionally, it was designed to shoot down other flyers.
Yes.
So it had some missiles. So it's got 2 missiles, 8 minus 2d6, so sort of standard crack missiles, but then they're anti-fly 2+, which is not bad. It has a twin heavy bolter, fine, not bad. And then it can have either some Nephilim las cannon, so it's a 2-shot las cannon, or the Avenger mega bolter, which was sort of like the ground strafing heavy machine gun, so it's like 10 shots with sustained, but it's basically just a big heavy bolter.
Yep.
And like it just the problem is it does have a 5 up invuln save, so all of the the Vengeance, the Darkshroud that we'll come on to, all of the Ravenwing specific units get a 5 up invuln save, which is, it used to be called the Jink special rule that you could just sort of have all the time, and it was great. Oh, I won't go into the horrible things you could do back then. But it's a T8 vehicle with a 3 up save, 5 up invuln, 11 wounds. It's OC0 because it's a flyer, as is standard. Like, if you look at that thing is like similar level of durability to a Rhino in reality. Yes, it's got some guns, but it is 200 points.
That's sad. That's very sad.
And it's just the problem is that you put 3 of these on the table and your opponent just goes, cool, I've had a turn of shooting, I can see them because they're flyers. Yeah. And you're now playing at 1400 points versus my 2000.
And that's a real shame. And I genuinely tried at the beginning of the edition to play its sister plane, the Dark Talon, which
the Dark Talon I have tried to get some mileage out.
It's a similar sort of thing. It's got some cool weapons, like the Rift Cannon's a damage 3, Deathwing's blast gun that's strength 16. Super cool.
Yeah.
But you've got to get there.
It's only 18-inch range.
Yeah. And that was my problem. The first time I tried it, we were trying to figure out how planes worked in 10th, and I was like, oh, I've got to basically put it in on the board edge, and oh look, I'm now out of range, so it's going to just sit here in the open, and oh, I'm -1 to hit, but it doesn't matter because you're full rerolls because I'm oathed or some rubbish, and it was very sad. So
or you're a fire dragon or whatever, and you just I no longer exist.
Yeah, so I'm going to just put him straight into D as well, because I don't feel I need to touch on him again, because it just makes us both sad.
Basically every flyer in the game, bar the Storm Raven, is down there at the moment. I've not played that much New Drakari, so I don't know if some of their planes were seeing a little bit of use pre-Codex. I don't know if it still is now. But yeah, I think Games Workshop have sort of realised that planes sort of don't work with the scale that we're playing at.
Yes. It's a bolt-on that was like a lot of the things like the Titanic things, like the Stompers and
Aeronautica Imperialis.
It just doesn't quite work. That was great as those two big planes fighting against each other. The minute you introduce it into a tabletop game where it's a small part of a battlefield, realistically, that 2,000 points is not a big battle. So introducing multiple planes skews that a bit. So, but we'll see. They might fix them next edition, or they'll go, which is probably what I'm expecting.
Yeah, I'm just a bit more expecting of that.
Yeah. Right, this is probably one of your skews and biases a little bit that we've got next, which is the Black Knights. This is a unit that I have owned for multiple editions in half-painted states and never got them fully to tabletop and never managed to feel inspired enough to finish them. But you've had some good success with these, right?
Yeah, so less so with the Black Knights, to be fair. So we'll talk about it properly, I guess, when we come to the command squads, which are fancy Black Knights.
Yeah. Same kit.
So Black Knights are pretty good as an all-rounder-ish.
Yeah.
So they've got a 5 up invuln save. They're a standard sort of biker profile, so T5, 3 up save, 3 wounds.
Yeah.
They can take. You're always going to take the plasma talons. If somebody has grenade launchers, I feel sorry for you. So you've got 2 shots, go to 3 if you get up close, and they're just then standard plasma profile, and you can overcharge them for 832.
Yeah.
And then I think the thing that sort of just lets them down a little bit is their melee weapons.
I think that's why you took them.
Yeah, so they used to be great at taking down because they were good at basically in old edition. So I got my Black Knights for 7th edition, and I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but being able to make them invisible so you could only hit them on a 6 and then have a 2 up rerollable invulnerable save because you're very good at riding a bike, it was just dumb. But that's what everyone that's what the back end of 7th was. Everyone was just finding the most broken stuff, and if you think 10th edition has some broken combos, you've seen nothing. But so I already had them. So I have taken them out. So I took them to one of our King of the Ping events. So I had two full
Yes.
6 bricks of Black Knights with command squads. So 9 guys in the squad. So Black Knights on the turn they charge, their unit gains anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4-up. And they were a little bit anemic at the start of the edition, but they did give their combat weapons dev wounds. So that does mean that you've got, like, so if you've got 6 guys, you've got 18 attacks that hit on 3s, and then each wound of a 4-up is just a dev wound. So they're not going to take out a knight, but they will take like 7 or 8 wounds off one.
So if you shot
they're
it a lot and then they've charged it, it's to finish off, perhaps, right?
Yeah, I think the thing for me is I think if you made them 2 damage, you'd have to take away their devastating wounds. You couldn't have both. It would make them all of a sudden they're now putting out 14 to 16 dev wounds on the charge into a knight. That's probably a bit much. As much as I'd like it, I think you could give them 4 attacks.
Tank, like even just normal tanks. Something like, oh, they're all just gone. Cool.
Yeah, I think you could go to 4 attacks like most of the veteran profiles have. I think that gives them a little bit of an uptick and makes them, and it also just means like a squad of 3 guys now has 12 attacks, similar to Flawless Blades and Emperor's Children, which one of my other armies. It's one of those things of it doesn't matter how good your attacks are if you don't have enough of them.
Yeah,
and it's like if your fancy unit won't kill 10 cultists, you're going to get charged by 10 cultists, and they're going to laugh at you when they're not all dead at the end, and you can't charge anything next turn.
Yeah, unless you've got fall back and charge, but then,
yeah,
it's horrible because then you're being almost bullied into that.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Where would you put these? Because I've not used them this edition properly, I don't really have a.
Honestly, I would go C tier. Partly because we haven't got anything in there yet, and it bothers me. But no, like so when I run my command squads now, I run them with Outriders. Because they're that little bit cheaper. They give the buff to the damage on the charge, so +1 strength and damage on the charge from the Outriders, and then that confers onto the command squad, so they actually buff them. Nice. And you get like Azrael and Sternguard, where they sort of each half buffs the other. It's quite a nice synergistic combo. But you know what? You take a full squad of Black Knights with a command squad, that's like we're talking about 300 points, so it's not a cheap unit, but it does put out 27 plasma shots. And it can move quite fast in rapid fire.
Yeah,
again, I think it's fine for a friendly game. It's fine for messing about with. I wouldn't take it to a GT.
Yeah, it's maybe take 1 unit like that in the list in a pickup game with your mate down the club, but you wouldn't take 3 in a tournament list.
Oh god, no. They're also like I have run 3 units of bikes when we talked about my LGT stuff. I'm down to 2 because just trying to use the 3rd started to get a bit cumbersome.
Yeah.
And the Lion is now in there as well, so he can walk through me, so it's fine.
Right. Should we do the second half of this then as well and do the command squad as a follow-up?
Do the command squad straight on, yeah. So gun-wise, they are exactly the same.
Weird. It's almost like
Profile-wise, they are the same, except that the command squad are 4 wounds each compared to the Black Knights 3, which again, the amount of 3 damage weapons in the game, 4 damage is fairly rare. That is quite a nice little breakpoint to get. Yeah. The melee weapons on the Ancient and the Apothecary are exactly the same, which again is nice because a lot of times Ancients and Apothecaries just don't have a proper combat weapon. It's a close combat weapon, and it's 3 attacks at strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage. The Champion gets 6 attacks that hit on 2s at strength 5 minus 2 damage. So that is sort of Space Marine Captain with a power sword level of output for 6 attacks hitting on 2s. But obviously what you can do is you attach 3 Outriders to them. And then on the charge, you're now at 6 attacks that hit on 2s at strength 6, minus 2 and 3 damage. Yes. And the Apothecary and the Ancient have 6 attacks between them at 6, 2, 2 with dev wounds.
And they grow back.
And then if they kill a couple of Outriders, the Apothecary brings 1 back. And oh, by the way, these 6 bikes are 18 OC because I've got an Ancient in them. And they're irritating for your opponent. As somebody who runs them a lot, you have to overcommit to them, because if you leave me like even just the Ancient and the Apothecary and the Champion alive, like you kill the whole squad of Outriders and the Ancient, and then I just regrow the Ancient onto a point and steal it from you. Yep. And I've done that a few times. Yeah. once the Outriders are dead, you can't bring them back anymore, unfortunately. So what you often find is you kill an Outrider, then the Ancient, then the last Outrider. It's a weird unit. But yeah, it's an unfortunate thing where the Black Knights are cool, but the Codex version's just better.
It's a shame. Yeah. But that was because they had to fix Outriders, so originally Outriders were sadder still. Yeah.
What I'm sort of hoping maybe happens with Outriders and Suppressors, I think it is. These are the two Primaris kits that have never had a proper release. They were
so Outriders have had a solo release, but it is the monopose, while Suppressors are stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, Suppressors were in like a couple of theme boxes. I think you can get them in the Start Collecting Vanguard Space Marines.
Yeah, it's the old Shadow Spear
box. Yeah. And I wouldn't be amazed if that monopose kit goes away, and then maybe something more similar to what you see with the new White Scars character becomes a multi-part kit for them. And maybe they have fly and it makes them that little bit more friendly to maneuver around things.
Potentially. Or they do a kit for both.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that coming
a kit that builds basic Outriders, or you can use the Dark Angels upgrade sprue that comes with it, and you can make Black Knights. Because all my Black Knights are already converted Outriders, so I'd be very happy if that happens, because I don't need to buy them again.
It just feels like a nice approach that they're kind of about to happen. Like, I look at that and go, I just feel like they need to, for like, Ravenwing was sad after last edition, like losing all the land speeder options, things like a captain on a bike. The only character that there is Sammael or a chaplain on a bike, and a chaplain doesn't feel very Ravenwingy to me. Like, it's a cool part of it, but it's not like he's the guy leading my Ravenwing force. It just feels a shame, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm hopeful we get a multi-part kit for that, and maybe Suppressors can get a kit, which would be nice for those.
Yeah, it'd be nice for them to exist. So where do we put the command squad? Because I feel like this is better than Asmodai.
Yeah.
Because you've actually taken it to events and had success.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd go... Like, I would put them at A tier, but I like them, and I've had some success with them. Most people are not seeing
somewhere
that, so
between...
I think top of B.
I feel like you're right there, because they're
it's on that
because they worked for you, but also that's because it really locked in for you. I think typically they'll not be in the same tier as the Lion for being in lists.
Yeah.
So for that knocks him down to me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So. And I would love to be able to come back to this in 6 months or whatever, and everyone started running them, and we can bump them up a tier or two.
Yeah, but... why not? Maybe we'll do it at the end of the edition, just before they actually release the next one. We'll be like, right, here's the end of edition tier list, and let's see how much it changes after the new drop, whether it's new indexes or whether we get just some massive points changes. It'd be hilarious, right? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Right, we're down to the last 3 units, and I'd like to say that actually 2 of 3 of these are some of my favourite models in the range.
Yes.
So, Landspeed of Vengeance was the one we've done before, but this is the Ravenwing Darkshroud. So this is one that's had a lot of interest over the years, because traditionally what this does is it gives out an aura of -1 to hit in some form or other. And at the moment, I think that's exactly what it is, right? It's within 6 for Adeptus Astartes. So again, your Deathwatch and Grey Knight allies can benefit from this, guys.
Yeah.
It's so fucking stupid.
So it doesn't technically give you -1 to hit, it gives you stealth, but the same thing. But it also gives you cover.
Benefit of cover, yeah.
So it is quite a nice little combo piece with, say, a little castle of Deathwing Knights. If you can maybe tuck this thing behind a wall while Deathwing Knights are out on the points in front of it.
Yep.
You can combo it in Wrath, so now your Deathwing Knights are -1 to hit, -1 to wound, and -1 damage, and just make people really quite upset about it.
Why would you do that?
Because I'm a horrible person. It's 100 points. It's also like it moves 14. It's got 10 wounds, T8, and it's a 5-up thimble. It comes with either a heavy bolt or assault cannon. But it's not a bad way to like push buttons for cleanse. Establish focus. Yeah, it is not a bad little way to just poke a little heavy bolter onto the point and say, yeah, I've got 5 Deathwing Knights and this, so now I'm 8 OC. So sorry, Mr. Warglaive, it's not yours anymore.
Yeah, I think it's an appropriate unit. I've not seen it being utilised too often. I did
It's
try
starting
it.
to see a little more. I think I've seen it in a couple of the World Championship pod lists.
Yeah, because I remember when Ironstorm was a real problem. It was an
Yeah,
initial look. Everyone went, okay, let's see how about putting this in as a layer, because obviously
yeah,
not choosing Vanguard and choosing Ironstorm at that point, it was like, cool, which of these two do I go with? If you can make Ironstorm have Vanguard at home, why
yeah.
wouldn't you, right?
Yeah, so I was in I used to be in a Discord channel a while back with Kit Smith Hanna, who like devised that build like around that time, and it was so it had Azrael to power the CP, it had the Darkshroud in it for that minus one to hit and cover to keep that Storm Raven safe,
Yeah.
and then it was a Storm Raven and a bunch of like Redemptors and stuff doing a lot of the shooting, and again Redemptors with minus one to hit and cover always on are quite
Perfect.
annoying to remove. I think you will see that build. I think you will probably see sort of like Gladius builds with some land speed of vengeances for long range shooting, some Redemptors for the mid board. JC Run I think has been running something like that. I'm pretty sure you took it to
Mm.
Coventry better than I did. So I've
Headless
still had the
bikes.
line, and yeah, it happens. Yeah, this,
Did better
this
than
for
me.
me is yeah, this is a perfectly good utility item. I'd probably put it as a solid B tier.
I think you're right. I think it's probably above Asmodai for me because
Yeah,
I
it
feel
lets
like
us
it's
sort
got
of
more general use.
it can sort of slot if you've got 100 points left and you don't need infiltrators because you've already got them. This is a nice little thing that can slot in.
It's a price point that is useful and flexible. When they kind of tip over 100, I find it's really hard to squeeze them in without having to compromise on decisions I've already made, which
Yeah,
makes it nice.
I've just realised you on your little graphics we never actually put the inner circle companions into a tier.
Oh, we didn't. So we talked about them and then didn't. So I think, personally, these are the top of B,
Yeah,
is
I
where
would
I kind
agree.
of feel like, because they're
I probably put
good.
them above my command squad as much
Yeah,
as it pains me.
you get one. Like, there was a time where I kept trying 2 units, and then
Yeah, I've
slowly
done it.
that became one. Yeah, it's the place there. Like 18 never gets played. I wanted to. I never built my third squad. Let's put it that way. So
I thankfully didn't buy my third squad. I stopped at two and thought I'll just wait for them to fix it and see how it goes.
my
Like
third
there is a
squad are
small.
built into characters now.
I think there are some niche things you can do. Again, if you're trying to go for a more casual list or something, you can sort of around like the Librarius Conclave because they take librarians really
Yeah.
well. In Gladius or Stormlands, you can do something there. But again, if you want to go to like a 5 round GT or a major or something like that, I think it's one unit with either Azrael or a GDCR,
Yeah.
and then that's sort of it.
Yeah, and that it feels a shame, but who knows what the future holds for them? Like, if if they can actually be led by other characters that give them a real benefit, that'd be nice. But until then, like Ezekiel would make sense, but Asmodai actually feels kind of counterintuitive to be leading them anyway because he should be
He's the one
quite
who thinks
angry
stuff
they're
more than them.
around. It
Yeah,
just feels very kind of
yeah.
antagonistic. So
He can
I'm
lead them. They
glad.
get a 2-up invuln save, but at the end of the combat phase, he kills two of them.
Oh god, don't. He's been told to back off by the Lion, if I remember
I
rightly.
know.
I've read some snippets, just like you can do your
There's
thing,
a
but just ease it off. And his
there's
prisoners keep
a
disappearing, right?
Chaplain Nemiel moment coming for Asmodai if he's
Yeah,
not careful.
yeah.
So the next one on the list is the Dark Talon, which we've already put into D tier when we did its
Yeah,
sister ship.
yeah.
The
So
Dark
yep,
Talon, I will give it the shout out for. I think this is the one you were talking about before, where it's the flying cathedral and the model is just
so cool.
glorious.
It's
It
why I
looks
built
amazing.
mine. It's the one time I've won a wooden spoon with an all Ravenwing list in, I think it was 9th edition. I played your friend Steve, where at that point he was using, are they Moraxes, the
Yeah.
knights that
Oh
had
yeah.
damaged 3 weapons, so it was like the profile was
Damage three
perfect.
flamers.
Yeah, it was perfect for killing bikes, and it was on a board that was very much a 7th edition board.
Yeah.
So yeah, I set up my models and then took them off, and Steve and I never talk anymore.
Love Steve.
Love
But yeah,
Steve.
no, I had a similar experience where he had one of the big Forge World Knights in ninth, and they had a double one of those flamers, and I charged a unit of a full 9 brick of those Black Knights with the command squad into said knight. Only the champion made it in through that
Oh
flamer.
gosh. Oh no. Oh
It was
no.
not fun. So the Dark Talon has it's a fairly unique ability to be fair. So once per turn, one model from your army with its ability after it ends a normal move If it does, you can select one enemy unit that you moved over that isn't an aircraft. Fair enough, hard to bomb an aircraft.
Yeah.
That unit takes D3 mortal wounds. Nice, don't have to roll for it, just always happens. And then you must roll D6. On a 1 to 3, that unit can't advance or fall back in your opponent's next movement phase. On a 4 to 6, that unit must remain stationary in the next movement phase. I don't know of another rule in the game like that, where you just can't move.
It's so extreme, but it is basically threading a needle.
Yes,
So
it's the you have to fly over it. That's not as easy as you think, even with the flyers, because it has to start off the board and then come in and then find a gap to land. And the bigger problem it has, because we talked about its rift cannon, it's a huge strength 16
I
blast
love
gun.
it.
It comes with 2 hurricane bolters, so if you get up close, it has got 24 twin link bolter shots, which is not nothing. They add up. Um,
Yeah.
the problem is it is 210 points for a 11 wound T8 vehicle, albeit with a 5 up hit bolt save. Um,
Yeah.
and
It
it
lasts one turn.
yeah, and it's not going to kill 210 points of the enemy while it does it,
It's
and it
such a
can't
shame.
hold objectives and it can't do actions.
Yep.
But if you don't own one, get one to paint. It's fun.
It's
I
cool.
have I
It's
have
so
3 on the
cool.
shelf.
Oh, poor buddy. I bought the one and went,
I have
I
3
want
of
more.
most things. I have 3 of most. I've been playing Dark Angels that long. I've got 3 of most things.
Oh,
Don't ask
God.
me how many land speeders I have tucked in a box under my bed that I can't run anymore.
I sold all of mine to a friend that loves Firstborn, and he's stripping them all and making them into his chapters stuff. And I was like, cool, they get to live on. They've gone to the glue
That's
factory.
nice. I'd made the mistake towards the end of 8th edition of buying the Forge World Tempest land speeders that they don't make anymore, but it was the one with like the
Oh,
closed cockpit and it looked so cool.
I was going to do
I
that for
have
Talon
9 of
Masters.
those.
Oh, they
No,
were
no, my
really
Talon,
quick. They were
they
super
were
quick as
really
well.
quick. But like the weapons could be sort of like hot swapped out.
Yeah.
You didn't have to glue them in. And then so you could run them as normal land speeders or tempest. So I like that.
Mm.
And then my Talon Masters were actually javelin land speeders, the
That
big
was the other one
ones.
I wanted. I tried to get the original land speeder to have one using that, and I was like, oh god, gold dust.
Yeah, but yeah. So it was 2 land speeder javelins, and then the 7th edition starter box, the company Master Balthazar that was
Yeah.
not definitely not Azrael in plastic at the time. So that them stood in the cockpit worked quite nicely. But yeah, it was yeah, it was I still have those. I've sold off most of my heresy things at this point because I just can't keep 2 rule sets straight in my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was they were fun while it lasted. I think that's the only
Yeah.
time I've actually beaten Tom in a game was when I had 40 transhuman Deathwing Terminators and 3 unshootable Talon Masters. I just walked at him, and he was
Yep.
playing GSD, and there was not a lot he could do about it.
Oh, I miss those days.
what,
Should we do the
when we
last
didn't
guy?
need skill to play Dark Angels. Yeah, Sammael.
The man made of resin is probably the
Yeah,
worst
yeah.
model I've had to build and paint for my Dark
Oh,
Angels. We're quite
yeah.
spoilt in that respect that this is the only resin model left. I don't see it lasting that much longer. But is it a good data sheet? He's got a cool plasma cannon. I actually quite
Yeah,
rate that. It does a
yeah, it's,
thing.
it's it's nice. It surprises people because they don't realize because it's even on the actual model, it is actually tucked underneath, so you
Yeah.
can't really see it until you point it out. And then he does have a rather silly sword.
Ah, the Raven Sword. So I love sustained hits too. Did I mention how much I liked that? So when they gave it to Inner Circle Companions, I was like, cool, let's see other examples of this, because this is a drug. And then seeing it on this man, who can lead Outriders, I was like, oh, okay, let's have some fun here. So what's interesting is his sword is 6 minus 3, 2. But if he's led by Outriders, that's damage 3.
And
And
strength
that
7, which is not
and
nothing.
strength 7, which is a nice breakpoint I found. So I tried this at the last ITT I went to with just 3 Outriders, and it was very much just throwing it in, causing some mayhem in their flanks where they didn't expect it. Especially when I was going, oh look, I'm going to advance 1,000,000 inches because I'm in Stormlance and I get to cheat.
Yeah, so I moved 21 and I still charge.
Yeah, it was sick. It's like, oh, I'm really hidden safely. You can't see me. Not anymore. Peekaboo. It's
Yeah.
great. But what does he give to his unit? So this is the confusing one, right? Where he gives you, they can shoot and charge in a turn in which they've advanced. So
Yep.
always have that. And if they're already able to do that, it gives +1 to advance and charge instead. So in Stormlance, it snowballs their speed, which is great. It's not necessary, but it's cool,
doesn't
right?
work in Stormlance.
You're not?
No, because in order to gain the +1, you have to be eligible to shoot and charge.
Ah, good spot. Good
Because
spot.
I got caught on this
cheated.
myself.
Shit, I cheated the last time I played it.
It is a relatively niche thing. So there is a strat to advance and shoot in Stormlands, but you trigger that in the shooting phase. So when you did the advance, you didn't have it, and therefore it doesn't count.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, so basically the only thing this works in is Company of Hunters. Because even in Gladius, even if you like pop one doctrine with the strat on them while declaring the other one, you lose the first one when you declare the second. So it doesn't quite work, which is a shame. Yeah, again, why it couldn't just be, if you're already able to advance and charge, you get, or if you can do one of these things or something. There are easy ways to word it.
Yeah, when it's a block that you look at and go, oh god, this is hard. The next ability, Cut Off Their Escape, is similar. It's basically if an enemy unit that isn't a monster or vehicle that's within engagement range tries to fall back, they do have to take a desperate escape test as if they were battle shocked, and they do that at a -1. That is pretty cool. But
the -1 is if they are already battle
shocked. Oh, this is the problem with me in reading. I cannot read, apparently.
This is the problem when GW write the rules in legalese paragraphs, because we keep trying to break them. And unfortunately, what they really need to do is hire an actual editor. I keep mentioning our friend Steve, but he's a technical editor. He writes car manuals.
Yeah.
And every time a new book comes out, watching the steam pour out of his ears at the way they've worded things is quite amusing.
Yes.
You can be concise and specific, and they're not.
This rule, I have to say, in the 20-odd games I've played, it never comes up. And that's a shame, because it's a cool thing. But reality is, if you're into something that hasn't already died, it's probably going to try to hit you back instead of trying to fall back.
Yeah,
realistically, and that's a shame.
So even with the outright, so he can do some decent work into something bigger. Stormlands, take the Lance strat, or Gladius and take the Lance strat with the Outriders, and strength 7, sustained. Maybe give him Oath so he can go fishing for sustain 2. You usually get about 9 hits out of him, I think, is the average I worked out.
It's spicy.
8 or 9.
It's cute.
8 or 9 hits. It's quite fun. And then strength 7 +1 to wound, AP 3, AP 4 in the Gladius if you pop it at the right time. And flat damage 3. He can pop like a battle tank quite happily, but majority of the time he's going to be harassing on the flanks.
Yeah.
So
exactly how I used him.
which means he's probably hitting something squishier, which means he'll kill it.
Yeah.
And then if he goes into a dedicated combat unit, he probably doesn't. Or again, he kills it or he doesn't and gets punched in the face.
Yes. And the reality is, you often look at it and go, could a cheap scoring unit that has a bit of combat, like say JPIs that go in and do some mortals on impact, kill the cheap thing that he would have definitely killed, and then you have those points elsewhere to put on other things to do similar things, and that's the challenge, right?
Outriders is more than 2 JPI squads.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be able to do it twice, maybe slightly less effectively. Maybe I'm going into Eldar and it's 5 Rangers or whatever. Both squads will kill them equally well. Yeah. If we're going into some different Marines, and then it's like, okay, well, just depends how the power fist on the JPI swings. I could kill 5, I could kill 3.
I might have to throw a grenade in too.
Yeah, exactly. But Sammael will kill that second squad, but then he will die.
Yeah.
He does not have the staying power.
So where do we put him? I feel like he's better than Asmodai, because actually I've taken to an event and didn't regret it.
Yeah, I would put him similar to the Ravenwing Command Squad. So he's that. I'd say slightly below it, because what I like that the Raven Command Squad gives you is a similar level of damage. You don't get the sustain 2 silly spikes, which are fun, but you shouldn't be counting on them.
No.
But the Command Squad gives you durability. Instead of his 8, don't get me wrong, 8 wounds on a character is quite tasty. Oh, sorry, 7 wounds. 7 wounds on the normal bike profile with a 4-up invuln, but the Command Squad is 12 wounds and the ability to regen models. And Dexterity. And actually the champion gives them +1 to advance and charge all the time, as opposed to, well, Sammael does if you play him your way, but...
Oh my god. All my tricks are being spotted. This is awful. I'll edit this out, he says.
And to be fair, the one thing I forgot to mention, the champion gives you free heroic as well, which is
really spicy.
when you bear in mind that still counts as charging, so it triggers the Outrider +1 strength and damage.
Yeah, you just don't get the charge
get
bonus, which is fights first. Correct.
Yeah.
I'm fed up of telling people that.
Yeah, you don't get any of your charge bonuses. No. The charge bonus is very clearly defined.
It's the charge bonus.
Yeah.
The captain.
Yeah,
right.
Had that argument a few times.
This has been lovely, Ben. I feel like we've ended up going on quite deviations of it, but it's been great and it's really enjoyable.
If you need to edit this very heavily, don't worry.
I don't know. What I find is it's really nice to see two people that really care about a faction talking about that faction. It creates this really infectious situation where hopefully it's fun for other people to watch. I've enjoyed this. I'm imagining you did as well.
I've enjoyed it, and obviously if people enjoyed watching it, please tell us. We'll do more.
Yeah.
We talked in the comments. Filming around maybe doing like the Dark Angel detachments and then comparing them to the standard Marine ones. Yeah. Have we done a standard Marine tier list for the units? I mean, it would take like 6 hours, but we could do it in bits.
We haven't, but we could do another one and then maybe split it off to include like do Raven Guard on their own and stuff like that. It's all potential we can do. Like, we can do fun stuff. I like the idea of doing stuff that bolts on. So having like the stuff that everyone can take would be a cool one, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. So we can do the core detachments, and then maybe we do the core data sheets by like, character, battle line, and infantry and things like that. We can do because doing the full codex in one go was a long video that you are not going to want to watch.
I did a video about the 101 for Dark Angels, and that included like all the different combos, and that still took me like almost 2 hours to film. So I can appreciate that. I've done it. I've been in the trenches. But yeah, so if you've enjoyed this, guys, don't forget to hit the like down on the bit below us. Put a comment saying where you disagree and why you think the Nephilim Jetfighter should be S tier. If not, and obviously, if you really enjoy the channel, do hit subscribe. You can become a YouTube member. We do offer things like we've got exclusive member-only videos. They're getting at least weekly now because we're all trying to push in and do a bit more on that because we want to say thank you to you guys for supporting us. And of course, if you really think you need help, like we both do, some of the guys actually do coaching as well. So, and that really has really helped me with some of my basics and the fundamentals. So it's really good. People like Tom and Chris and Jack Tight do it, and it's really cool. So Nerd appreciate the support as well.
I get coached by Tom. Yeah, it's really. I found it really useful to be able to go through bounce list ideas, especially when we're looking towards teams and things like that. And like, okay, well, what do we need to do for the team comp, and how do I tweak it, and or just for singles about like if you're getting into it for the first time and you don't really know what the meta is and stuff like that. It's a great little shortcut.
Exactly, and it's just having a soundboard because I found sometimes you can chat to your mates, and their skew is that they've kind of got a mixed opinion of your faction quite often because they're the ones normally playing against it, and they'll tell you what they don't like, but it's often the same thing as what they do like. If they were being honest, it's that whole thing of like you shouldn't take more Deathwing Knights, but in reality it's please do.
You should probably take more Deathwing Knights.
You should, yeah.
I don't want to have to kill that, but it will make your list better.
Exactly, and it sucks, but never mind. Until next time, guys, thank you and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.